Creating fast content with mind maps is a really powerful skill and technique to use. And in this video, I want to highlight why this is so effective and why you should be doing this to help you create more content, faster content, and better quality content. So mind maps really, to me, are like a visual capturing of the thought process. They really mimic how the brain retrieves and processes information, and they allow you to get results much faster and much easier. And that's because our brain does not think in a straight line. So if you're starting to put together your ideas or your insights or your imagination that are coming and you're putting them into an outline, you're really missing out on how the brain actually works. And if you start from something much more free flowing like a mind map, you're going to find that you're going to be able to capture more of those nuggets and also capture things that maybe aren't nuggets, but once you get them out on paper, you'll be able to see the relationship with other ideas that you have, and that can make those valuable as well. Once you have the content out in your mind map form, it can easily be transferred to an outline, to slides, and to documents. And this allows us a lot of flexibility and really allows us to take our content and refine it and take it much, much further. Because once you've put your ideas and concepts out on a piece of paper, you can see how they're actually related. What ends up happening if we sort of force our brain to think linearly at the beginning is our brain automatically rejects certain concepts. But if we use the technique of what I like to call brain dumping, some people call it brainstorming, if we just put everything out there on paper, then we can see much more clearly what is connected to what, and then we can start to make more organization. But it also allows us to come up with specific ideas that we may not even have realized that we had once we started the process. And because of that, I really recommend that you start with what you know in your brain when you're doing your initial mind map before you actually start researching, because that's a better place to start, and it's going to allow you to extract much more fully what your own ideas and insights are before you start going and reading and looking what other people have to say. I want to give you an example here of a mind map that I've used for a product that I created. This was the first product in my publishing intelligence line of products, which is really about getting in deep into a particular niche and getting audience insights about that niche, what the audience is like, and also how you can be competitive in this niche and create content in this niche. And this was an initial mind map that I put together, and I didn't necessarily end up using everything that I have here, but I found that by putting it out there, I was then able to organize it and then, of course, go further and refine it and decide what I wanted to do. This has really ended up then becoming a finished product, but it would not have been so detailed or so organized unless I had actually started first with this mind map, because there's a lot of information there, a lot of content there. And also, with everything out here, I also realized as I was putting everything together that some of this information was redundant or was too much information, and I did not need to include all of it. I haven't really talked about the mechanics of mind mapping in this particular video because I really wanted to focus more on the benefits and how you can use it. But that particular mind map was created with FreeMind, which is one of the older programs that's free as well. So it's one that I recommend to people because it's free to use. It's open source. You can also use Xmind, MindMeister. There's other programs out there as well. FreeMind makes pretty basic looking mind maps. If you want things that are a lot more sort of artistic and colorful, some of these other tools work well with that. With the mind mapping process, the way I think it works best is you're doing that brainstorming or the brain dumping that I talked about earlier. You're then looking at what you have, maybe deleting some things, filling in gaps with others, and organizing what you have. And then you're getting the content that you realize that you actually need after you've put together the structure. And a good way to do that is to maybe use content from other mind maps that you have, to copy and paste information from documents or texts that you have. Or if you have some of your research stored online, you can access Evernote, which works really well in conjunction with mind mapping, because Evernote is a system that allows you to store not only research from other people, but also notes, organize things in notebooks, and you can then link. Now, this is an example of part of a mind map where I then have a link to some research. Now, once we have our mind map, we can then take it and then move forward and start creating more content with it. We can export it to an outline. So that little snippet of a mind map that I just showed you in the previous slide would look like this if it was an outline: public domain, characters in public domain, and then the link. Now, you can do this in most mind map programs just automatically. You can export it as HTML, and that'll export it automatically to an outline. Then if we want to, we can take our outline and flesh it out and create actual written content with it, or we can create slideshows with it, which then allows us to share the slideshow or the presentation and create video content from that. So it ends up being very, very fast and easy to go from mind map to video. You can do a mind map, outline, presentation, video. And one way you can automate that is to use a tool that was created, that I created, called Content Transformer. And this is a tool where it actually creates slideshows with outlines. But if you want to learn more about that, you can go to amydebcreations.com/go/CT-1. And as I mentioned, this is a product I did with Deb Drum, and it's a really great tool for taking that outline content and then moving it and creating more content with it. One thing I also want to touch on is how you can outsource using mind maps. And this also goes into the whole point of creating higher quality content. What you can do is you can have the outsourcer, if you have an outsourcer or a writer you're working with or a researcher, you can have them actually go through content that you want to research or refer to and have them actually mind map that content, where they're pulling out the main points and making a mind map out of it and including links to the resources that they're using. Now, the other way you can do this is you can actually go through the process we've been talking about, where we go from the mind map to the outline, and have them create their content if they're actually the one that's writing it. So in the first example, they are actually just researching it. And in the second way that you can use mind maps, they're the ones that are actually writing it. So what you would do is you would give that writer a very high quality outline created from the mind mapping process. And that way they're going to be able to create much more content faster and easier. And again, you can have a researcher do that part, the first step, and then give it to your writer, or you can do it yourself, or you can tell the writer, I want to see an outline first, and then have them do that. So it goes from mind map to outline to final content. And that's going to make sure that you're capturing all of those brain connections and content dumps. And it's going to also allow you then to go back in and hook and integrate your research. And then it's by then taking it into an outline, you can then take that into the final content very easily. So mind maps are a great tool, and I really wanted to highlight them in this video because a lot of people shy away from mind maps because they think they're complicated, or it's just one extra step. But the fact is mind maps really make going forward faster and easier, and they're really, I think, a highly essential tool to use if you are committed to creating high quality content fast. You can follow me at my blog, amyharrop.com, or subscribe to my blog feed, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And again, if you want to check out Content Transformer, you can go to the link here and check that out as well.